Good evening, Tewksbury. It is March 20th. It is 6 o'clock. We're going to start the Tewksbury Board of Health meeting. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you could please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you. So first on the agenda is the approval of the previous meeting minutes. So February 20th, 2025. Do we have a motion to approve?
I motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, we have a
I'll
motion.
second the motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, there's been a motion and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none. Chair votes aye as well. That has been approved. And then we also get to approve the March 6th, the fluoride minutes from the open forum. So if we have a motion for that? Yes.
Dustin Weir, 426 Chandler Street. I'm just inquiring whether my written statement that I presented is included in those minutes.
I did present them. I did give them to Lisa. My understanding is they are not included in the actual minutes, but they are in a folder.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
typically what we would do, Dustin, is any material that was presented at a meeting, we would have to attach with the minutes as part of a complete package. We do that for every meeting and whatever is being submitted, so they will be included. It'll be included in a list of documents presented and would be available to the public.
It'll be available online? Yeah, thank you. Is that on?
I think so, yes.
Thanks.
Yes, you're welcome. Okay. So do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve minutes. A second.
Okay. There's a motion and seconded on the table. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none. Chair votes aye as well. That has been approved. Okay, so tonight Shannon is not with us, so we do have Steve Sadwick with us. Thank you for joining us. So we have some new business on the agenda, which the first one is conflict of interest, which I believe George wanted to discuss.
Yes,
Okay.
I think I made a copy of that probably like 6 months ago, but we pushed it. Basically, I'm just going to read what it is. It's a voting procedure from the Robert's Rules of Order. I mean, okay, I'll just read it. One point, but I'm sure you'll get the gist of what I'm. 45-4. Abstaining from voting on a question or direct personal interest. No member should vote on a question in which he has a direct personal or per any interest not common to other members of the organization. For example, if a motion proposes that the organization enter into a contract with a commercial firm of which a member of the organization is an officer, from which contract he would derive personal pecuniary pecuniary profit, the member should abstain from voting on a motion. However, no member can be compelled to refrain from voting in such circumstances. The only reason why I wanted to bring it up, because it's kind of like it has to do with where we're at. My only recommendation for it is if I was to, and I can only think of one idea where I would abstain, but if I did, what I'd like our board to just agree upon is that the person that abstains would step out of this and go into the other part of the building. Now, you may ask why, but sometimes it has to do with legal questions, and like if you're a lawyer, you possibly represented somebody like for buying a piece of property or something, and we're discussing that to do with health, maybe a rental of the property that folks at a food establishment. So it's more detailed for people like that, but I'm just asking if we could agree that a person, instead of staying in here, would go out there. I don't really, I mean, if you ask me why, I think it would be best. That's
But why though?
my personal example, because sometimes people ask the person when they're in here something regarding it, or they may feel like they know information if they were a representative of somebody.
But if you're abstaining from voting, you don't say anything.
We don't have to agree to it.
Yeah.
I'm just,
So I think
I've
this
just,
is.
I've been in a term when 3 or 4, that happened a bunch of times, and
So yeah, so generally the standard practice for everyone is, if I'm not mistaken, is for the board member to recuse themselves from the discussion and voting on a matter where there is a conflict. But it hasn't been necessarily required to leave the room.
Right.
Unless like an executive session rules apply. I think this is something that we could discuss on whether that's something that we wish to adapt as a board, but would it just be pertaining to our board? Because I don't believe that we could do that for every other board either. It would just be on us. And then the thing is also when it comes to like a new term, that could be also rescindicated, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, I understand where you're coming from. I think that would be something
What I
that.
don't do is I don't bring this every time and I say like, oh, we're out of order or anything like that. What I kind of believe in is that the chair kind of runs their meetings, you know?
Yeah.
Like, for instance, last meeting we had it where it was a 3-minute speaking. Now, some other places have 4 and some other places have 5. So, I mean, I would never, I mean, I'm a member, so I'm just saying I'm not in the audience, but I mean, I could request, could I speak 5 minutes, but I'm just saying you kind of said it, you know?
Yeah.
That's all, that's all.
Steve, do you have any input on that?
I would just say that it's a best practice, really, that the person should remove themselves from the room, and it's for the protection of both the board itself and for the individual. That if down the line in the future, someone said, well, I think that he was making faces to one of the board members or giving some signal, like, it's just a good practice to do. But typically it falls on the individual themselves to do that. So I haven't seen this happen with other boards where they've made it a rule or policy internally, but you probably could do that though, if you chose to do that.
Right.
Okay.
I think just by mentioning it, we'll all, if we were ever to do it, we'd all step out of the room. I just wanted to bring it up because I've been on the Board of Health before, and we had a lawyer and another person that was a builder like, so they abstained a couple times, but they sat, and I have no personal, but like Steve said, they might possibly be questioned about it later on. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any input or?
I really don't. I haven't seen it in action yet, so maybe if I did, I'd have some input, but.
Same,
Yeah.
it just didn't make sense to me as to why, but
Yeah, I think.
I think
like-
it's situational too.
Yeah, I think like Steve mentioned, I think it would be best practice, and I think if the person, if it is a conflict and they excuse themselves, I think it would be best practice that they leave the room, and that's really up to that person. And there's, I think, ethic and consciousness, if that makes sense. So I don't think this is something that, I mean, if everyone agrees, I don't think this is something that we should vote on.
No, we don't have to.
Okay.
I just wanted to speak about it, that's all.
Okay.
And
Thank
I
you.
think just the knowledge of it and bringing it to our attention and
Yeah.
keeping it forefront.
That's
That-
exactly.
Absolutely, and having it on record that that's something that, is good practice. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So, next on would be the fluoride next steps. So with that, I just wanted to go over a couple of things. there was an update on the discussion regarding the water fluoride in Tewksbury. So over the past 2 weeks since the public input, we've received emails and written submissions. I appreciate all those that have taken the time to engage in the process. I believe that, involvement is essential in public health discussions. I do want to make it clear that the board has not discussed this, has not made any decisions regarding this, or the next step. So my intent tonight was to actually provide a brief summary, and then open it up to the floor to the board members of their thoughts. So some of the things that were mentioned, the reason why I asked this topic and we had discussed this topic was brought forward not as a personal agenda. It was a board decision to review this matter following the December 2024 federal court hearing on fluoride regulation. So given that there was some legal and some developments, it was important to kind of move this issue, bring this issue to the attention of the residents and ensure that us as a board make an informed decision based on the most current information. So it's been a longstanding public health measure with fluoride. CDC, ADA, they continue to endorse it. And with any public health policy, I believe it's our responsibility to review any new research and legal developments to ensure that we're making decisions that are based on public input and what's going out there. So some of the concerns that were mentioned on some of them was that the CDC does recommend 0.7 milligrams per liter for drinking water. The World Health Organization does set the upper safety limit to 1.5 milligrams per liter. There was the recent study and that the court ruling found that fluoride exposure between 0.7 and 1.5 was linked to neurodevelopmental concerns, particularly lower IQ in children. But the difference between the recommended levels and the levels associated with risk is just 0.8 milligrams per liter. So that's a really small safety buffer compared to other regulated substances. So that's why this was being brought forward for that instance. So I wanted to, while we're gathering public feedback, reviewing everything, I wanted to reach out to the board to see if they have any comments or anything that they wanted to discuss on this matter. Go ahead.
Well, there's definitely a lot to discuss. I think the main thing is I'd like us to focus on what the residents, the community has to say.
Yep.
And I mean, I've looked at some of the information that has come through. And I think that's important. I think that's going to be, and it should be, which way we go, depending on what the residents and the community would like.
Thank you.
Actually, I'm just wondering if you were able to talk to Kevin, because I know he has a personal issue, but at all. And what I'm wondering about is if he stated anything about his recommendations.
So I have not yet heard, I did formally request guidance from town council to clarify the process and procedural steps for this. Should the board decide to reassess, modify, take action, whatever the board would to decide what would be the best method and recommendations. I have not heard back from that, so I'm still waiting on that to waiting the input pretty much. Yeah.
The one concern I have, again, I'll just give you the example why I'm bringing it up is because there was probably about 7 months before the 2016 election that the board was going
Turn your
through.
mic on.
Sorry. Prior to 2016, the election that I ran in, there was about an 8-month issues regarding the regulations with smoking products. And one of the reasons why I ran is because I didn't like them. No, and at the same time, I'll just say I'm not pro-smoking. But anyways, to get to the point, they wanted to decide something before I went on the board so I wouldn't be able to vote. I'm just going to tell you the way it is. So anyways, all I'm going to ask is I truly think with our new member, because we're getting 3 folks, and if I'm wrong, there'll only be 3 coming on, so there's no, like, person that's not going to be on, is, and I guess the question posed to Steve is, should we recommend that she abstains from the first, if we vote next month on the, after talking about water for the last year?
I don't think that that person would have to abstain. I mean,
Okay, I'm just
yeah,
asking.
no, that's a fair question, but you're in the process of collecting information right
Okay.
now. So it's not like it's a public hearing where
Correct.
someone may not hear all of the components of the hearing itself. Here, it's more of just fact gathering.
Okay.
And when that person sits on the board, then you'll collectively be able to make a determination.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah, I do too. I like to bring stuff up so we all can kind of be on the same page. Or if we have a question in the back of our minds, maybe it had something to do with a few things that were brought up today. I will state my where I'm leaning, and because of coming up with all the fact finding in the next month. But I'm looking to see what the Kevin says. But I'm leaning toward when it was voted in 1984. It was a referendum, not a town meeting. So I'm just saying that I'll probably be leaning toward that it's on the, and I got to be honest with you, maybe that'll be the thing that brings another couple hundred people to vote, or a couple thousand. That'd be a good thing.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. Chris?
I haven't finished reviewing everything because there was a lot sent in, which is
Today, yes.
amazing. Yeah, just
Yes.
today it was like,
Today we received a variety of emails today.
there was
so-
at least 10, I think.
Yeah,
So I haven't had a chance to read them all, but I definitely, I appreciate the fact that the townspeople are so passionate about this and they have their opinions on it, which is amazing. So,
Yes.
I haven't made a decision on it, I'm gonna review everything and then I'm gonna decide what I decide.
yeah. So thank you. I appreciate you all sharing your thoughts. So I know that at the public forum, I did share my opinion, just as residents shared theirs. I think having different viewpoints is what makes open discussion really important. And my role as chair is not to decide this issue alone. And I want to make that clear, but to ensure that the residents have all the necessary information to make informed decisions. I've always been an advocate, and I mentioned it before, for informed consent. To me, the discussion isn't just about fluoride, it's about choice. I'm fortunate to have a filtration system, so for me, this doesn't, it doesn't impact what happens in my own home. That is why not everybody has that option. So that's why I think this conversation does matter, to hear everyone, for and against fluoride, or removing or against removing fluoride. So I think public health policies are most effective when they both protect the community and respect informed decision-making. So again, I think I would like to put that we can open up for more residents to reach out and continue listening to the residents until we review all the information and until we find more, get some guidance from legal as well. I think it would be okay if everyone is in agreement. I mean, we can vote on that, I guess.
How long should we keep it open
Yeah,
to
that's,
submit paper, 'cause
Yeah.
otherwise, if we
it's like
say.
never ending, yeah. That is something that we can discuss as a board and kind of figure that out. I'm open to whatever the board would like, and if they're opposed to that, I'm okay with that too. Just putting it out there.
I definitely agree with making sure that everyone knows that there's a platform for them to submit their letters and their concerns. And maybe we can go over that again today, and
Yeah.
hopefully we'll get a lot more. We did get a lot of information from
Yes,
the
we did.
residents, which
We
was,
did. That was good.
it was amazing.
Was good.
But we need, in something like this, we need a lot more. So I really want to encourage everyone, all the community, to take the time and tell us exactly how you feel about this issue. Help
Yes.
us.
And the great thing is too, is that I had asked Steve to put up a link. So on the Tewksbury website, there on the Board of Health, there is an actual, like on the sidebar, there is a link that says fluoride, and a lot of the attachments of things are on there. So if you do submit something that does have attachments, we will also add that in. There is a lag of time that it may not appear right away because of having an outsource doing it. But that would also be on there so that people can actually look at all of that and, write, make their own, whatever they choose to do. And so I wanted to inform that's there too for everyone to look at. And if you don't have access, there's the library as well that can help you get onto that webpage.
Madam Chair, I would like
Yeah.
April 11th, and the only reason why I say that date is the 17th is our next meeting, if I'm correct.
Okay.
But our agenda has to be usually by the previous Friday.
Yes.
So that's what I think we should try to shoot for that.
Okay.
Feel something different.
Steve, do you have anything to add or do?
Yeah, I've been struggling with trying to figure out what the next steps are.
Yes.
And it'll be helpful when town council finally weighs in.
Yes.
I did look up the Mass General Law about this, and in reading it, it's very confusing, the language. So
Yes.
the one takeaway, I think, though, is that it looks like it's either the next regularly scheduled local elections or annual town meeting. So
Okay.
I'm really putting that out there, that it may not be until next spring that you can actually take action on this.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I had read it, very, very confusing, read that and was, wasn't very.
Gotta wait for Kevin to parse
Yes,
it for
so
us.
that is why I was definitely hoping that Kevin would be able to get some insight and do that.
I have some time, Madam Chair, I think I've got some information regarding the legal.
Is everyone okay with? Is everyone in agreement?
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, that's fine.
yes.
Okay, go ahead. Just want to make sure we're doing this right.
Be brief, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, and I hope Kevin's having a speedy recovery or speedy resolution
Yes.
too. And I did actually ask at the public comment if he was going to be here tonight. I'm sorry that he's not, because I wanted to discuss this. My understanding, based on the Board of Health of North Adams versus Mayor of North Adams, decision by the Supreme Judicial Court, I think that was a 1975 case, is that it is governed by Mass General Laws, Chapter 111, Section 8C. And they seemed, in my opinion, in my reading of that, is that a petition of 10% of the registered voters are needed to get a referendum and have the townspeople vote on that. They said, and I'm quoting from the majority opinion in that case, it is significant that whereas the statute makes explicit provision for the public canceling of a program of fluoridation by means of a referendum vote, no similar power was vested in the local legislative body. So,
I have a question.
Sure.
Did you say, who was against who? I know it was in a town, but I'm just.
it was I've got it here. The case it is 1975.
Right.
Board of Health of North Adams versus the Mayor of North Adams.
Okay, all right, I'm only concerned, obviously, because you would tend to think it would go along, but we have a select board and a town manager. But okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I had read that as well, the 10% referendum, but again, it's very confusing on where that stands. So that is why I did ask for legal counsel on next steps, what would be beneficial. I did ask for a lot more information too on implications and of, for and against. Because I want to make sure that, what I had mentioned before at the forum was transparency. I want to be very transparent of this is the situation. if we do this, this is what it's going to look like. If we do that, this is what it's going to look like. Because I think it's very important that everyone has the notion and the information. So that's why I don't want to say anything before I get that information from town council, for sure. So you had mentioned, George, April 11th as far as the time frame for people to submit anything
Yeah, I
that they
only
want
picked
to?
out that day because we got to post the agenda.
Okay, what does any other members have any comments, objections, agreeances, anything that they?
I was going to suggest either March 31st or April 1st, because the 11th just seems like in the middle. But that's just my opinion, so.
Okay. Susan?
I think I would go with the 11th. The more time we can give the residents to look everything up and study what we've put out there, I think the better it will be.
That's fair, too.
Okay. So I guess we could vote on this. So do we have a,
I'll make a motion that we collect information from the public up to and including the April 11th.
okay.
I second.
All right, so there's been a motion and second to allow the public to continue submitting any written responses to the board by April 11th. End of day? End of day, April 11th?
Yes.
Okay, end of day, April 11th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none. Chair votes aye as well. So we'll actually, is there a way to publicize where they can go and how they can do it so that everyone is aware? Okay.
We can do that.
Okay, perfect. So that way everyone's aware of how they can submit their writings, and that way we can get also, all of us, get copies as well. So, thank you. All right, so next on the agenda is old business. So,
Madam Chair, I have a point about the information posted on the website, if I may.
yes,
Madam Chair, thank you for allowing me a couple more minutes to speak. I also want to point out that the Newsmax article posted on the board's website is incomplete. It is actually missing sections within that printout. And in reality, it's actually a Associated Press article that was written by Matthew Brown and Hannah Schoenbaum. But several sections are missing if you try and read it. So if maybe you wanted to repost that from the Associated Press and not Newsmax, that would clear that up. I appreciate it.
yes, absolutely. I will try and find that and get that. Thank you, appreciate that. And if anyone sees anything too that's missing information or whatever, please feel free to reach out. We'll add that. Okay, so old business, body art regulation.
Yes. Well, we're getting closer, and hopefully this may be the last version of the draft.
Yes.
What we've done is we've added a few things. One, I added to, it's page 14, number 11. We added a section for body art, applications for body art intern permits. And it's basically, it's almost very similar to the practitioner permit, but eliminating a few things. The only other item that we wanted to talk about was whether or not we feel that either a practitioner or intern who is applying for a permit should need to come in front of the board, whether we put that directly into the regulations, or do we put different wording where they may need to come before the board if the board feels that there's a reason? That is the only question.
Okay.
And
Yeah. So The only thing that I had, and when you sent that was, I don't believe currently we have other people come in front of the board unless we have a question or something is going on with their application that we're concerned about. Is that,
I believe that's true, and I was kind of wondering in what circumstances you would want somebody to come before the board, like what would be the reason, the cause of them to come here?
Well, I personally don't feel that we need to put that in there.
Yeah.
It was a suggestion that someone else had asked about having it put in. And the
I think it
reason,
may have been in an old.
it was in an old one
Like an
from
old one.
2016, I believe. 16?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's been a bit.
Because even when we had body art, we decided or made a decision a few years ago that they did not need to come before the board.
Correct.
Because we were having them and it just didn't make sense because all of the information, the permits, everything is in order. It wasn't necessary. So I feel that they do not need to come before the board unless there is an issue, and the issue could be something wrong with the permits. Maybe they're not giving us all the information we need if there's an issue. But if everything is
Right.
in compliance, then I don't feel it's necessary at all.
So my only question for that is that, do we have to word that in the regulations, or should it be worded in the regulations that it may or may not be required to come in front of the?
I would kind of word it probably that the board reserves the right to call in an intern applicant.
Yeah, okay. Any comments from the other members?
I just don't feel like an intern has to. I think owners or slash, the word, I can't think of the word, the practitioner we may want in front of us. I just don't.
But the practitioner is getting the permit for themselves. It's not for the, they have their own permits. And
Right, so you're saying the intern would have their own permit too?
they have to get their own.
Well, I mean, I'll agree with what Steve said, may reserve the right to,
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably the best wording.
Okay.
yes,
I agree.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like that.
thank you.
Now, this is the most updated. We had voted prior to moving this forward. Did everyone have a chance to look at it, and do we get to vote on this again to move it forward with the additional information that we have? Because I would like to get this complete, because it's been on the agenda for quite some time. I think this is the most movement we've had with it, which is really great, and thank you for all the work that you've put into this. So that's like amazing, and so I'm really glad, and I would love to have this like completed, and just passed along to the next steps if possible. If everyone is okay and has gone through it and they're, with the new additional,
I'm fine with it.
we can possibly vote on that.
Well, I would be very excited.
Okay.
I'm satisfied with it.
Thank you.
So can we put in a
I make a motion that we accept the update with the words added that the board reserves the right to ask an intern.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, so the motion has been put forward and seconded to approve the regulations of body art with the new addition of the board reserving the right to request someone to appear in front of the board. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none. Chair votes aye as well. We are moving forward to the next steps. So just so it's aware that we're approving this as written, and it now gets to go to the next steps to get approved. Yes.
And
Okay.
that's town council? correct?
Yes. Town council.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. Next on the agenda is the health department reports. So that would be with Steve. Thank you.
Sure. Although I did notice that Anthony's roast beef was on here for old business.
Oh, I skipped over that. My bad.
I don't know if you want to give that update or if you want me to.
You can.
Okay. So Anthony's roast beef for the board and for the public's information, we finally have closed out all of the concerns there. The hand sink was installed. Siobhan went out there and did the inspection along with the building or the plumbing inspector because we had to inspect it for plumbing purposes. The janitorial sink was also moved and that was found to be acceptable both on the plumbing side and on the health side. So they're completely resolved now. I think there is one small issue, which is the plan needs to be resubmitted to the office showing those changes, but that's nothing that's of significance. And they're now shifting to our risk-based inspections. So they will, it just so happens that we have put them on the consultants list. So the consultant will be going out and doing an inspection probably sometime this month. It just happened to be that rotation. So I think everything's fine there after months of trials and tribulations, but
Yes.
we're all good.
Yes, thank you.
you.
I'm happy to hear that it has been closed.
Okay, so on to the announcements.
Yes.
Let's see. It's kind of funny. I have a whole bunch of stuff here. The health fair.
Yes, health fair.
Health fair. So the health fair is happening on April 9th from 1 to 4 at the Tewksbury Senior Center. Yeah.
I have a little, yes,
There's-
there we go. I don't know if you can zoom in on this.
So this free event's open to all ages, offers a wide variety of resources and activities focused on health and wellness. Attendees can enjoy free blood pressure screenings, free health scans, invaluable safety tips and community resources. Be sure to check out the exciting giveaways, enter the electric toothbrush raffle, and enjoy some delicious food from Chicken on the Run. So that's that one.
Some,
The next one was on the Massachusetts Association of Health Boards Annual Certification Program registrations now open. And it's a PHE approved expense for not only the health department but also for the Board of Health members as well, if you're interested. Attendance is encouraged. Session topics include legal authority of boards of Northeast Public Health Alliance, hearing orders and enforcements, case studies in tobacco, cannabis and synthetics, opioid settlement updates, environmental case studies, governance, and more. And what else do I got? Oh, the PHE grant.
the PHE grant.
Yeah. PHE, let's see. So we have the consultants on board. That's Mogen Solutions. They began on March 6th. 22 inspections have been completed in Tewksbury since the 6th. Hiring updates. We're continuing to screen incoming regional inspector applications, assessing options for advertising, hiring, and multiple roles. Hiring committee, which Siobhan is on, will meet to identify candidates for first round phone screen interviews. And there's a regional public health specialist role direction that they're going in, but they're exploring options for part-time position to support both Tewksbury and Tingsboro.
Can I add something to that?
Sure.
I met one of the inspectors, Tori. She was extremely knowledgeable, and it was refreshing to see them coming around. And she's a traveler throughout it, but it was through the grant.
Yeah.
And I was very impressed.
And that's great to hear, because it's taken us a while to get this regional inspection program back up online and to get the consultants in here. So I'm happy that we're finally hitting it.
Yes.
It's great.
And then Jimbo's update. So We do have the consultants that are working there with Jimbo's, and we've received the February audit, and things are looking good for that. So it seems like that has kind of settled out also.
Right.
And then the last thing I had was just a reminder about the Tewksbury Taste of the Town.
Have that too.
Yes, you have that poster there. And I forgot where my information was on that, but, oh, here it is. So that is Tuesday, April 8th, from 5 to 8 p.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn at Highwood Drive. And this event invites you to sample delicious cuisine from a variety of local restaurants, giving you the chance to discover new favorites while supporting our community. If I don't lose my voice by the end of this meeting, be sure to cast your vote for the best dish and don't miss out on the live auction and raffles featuring some amazing prizes. And there was one other thing that Siobhan asked that I,
Mental health? Is it that one?
oh, yes.
Okay.
So there's that one. So there's a regional regional public nurse, co-teaching youth mental health first aid training, March 27th, it should be 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. in Chelmsford Town Hall. It's a free course, and details are on the Tewksbury Health Department webpage, and we have these flyers here too. I think I'm done.
Okay, I think so, yes. There are no subcommittee reports. I think that is something that we get to figure out about the Tewksbury Cares. That's something for maybe future agenda items of what we get to do with that. Any board member comments?
Yeah, I have one.
Okay,
I wanted to express my sincere gratitude to Steve for the grace, respect, and the dignity that you showed me with regards to the department with Anthony's. Thank you very much.
your mic is off.
Would you like me to repeat that?
Sure.
Okay. I want to express my sincere thanks to Steve and the department for their grace, respect, and dignity shown to Anthony's roast beef. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others? Okay. Well, thank you all. I appreciate all of your work. Susan, I appreciate your work on the regulations. I think
Thank you.
amazing getting that through. And anybody have anything that they'd like to add for future agenda items? Any ideas, thoughts? I hear none. Okay, so it's that time.
Go ahead, George.
I make a motion that we close the meeting.
I second.
All right, a motion has been put forward and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none. Chair votes aye as well. It is 6:43. Thank you, Tewksbury. I appreciate all of you. Have a great night.